Hello and welcome to Group 3A's presentation on the Chinese film industry, where we'll be discussing various aspects of the industry, including the habits of Chinese filmgoers, distribution of films in this region, and the financing involved. I hope that you learn something from this, and most of all that you enjoy. So we're going to start off with language today. So, subtitles are mandatory due to decree, and foreign films also require Chinese subtitles to honour culture. There are many places in China, such as Shanghai, that are equipped with projectors. They show off foreign films with subtitles. Although Chinese citizens have gained a liking towards dubbed films, but young generations prefer subtitled versions. Fan subgroups operate as a way to bridge the language barrier between films and shows alike, although this is considered unethical. So, here are some of the languages used in Chinese films. As you can see, the Mandarin dialect takes up 80% of Chinese films, whereas 20% is taken up by other dialects. Chinese film incorporates many different dialects, such as Mandarin, as we discussed. Cantonese is also a staple language. Dialects are typically chosen depending on the genre of film, and the Dream Factory uses a Beijing dialect. The use of slang and the pronunciation of words is taken into account, usually with comedic or heartwarming films. So let's take a look at some of the Western-produced films that are popular in China. So Now You See Me 2, which released recently this year, managed to gross $92 million, which significantly outperformed its American release of $65 million, according to Box Office Mojo. Now, there has been a decline in domestic demand for Chinese films, and a survey conducted reveals that Chinese films don't have as much influence in East Asian countries, as audiences typically want bigger stories offered by Western films. Audience habits now. So, weekday traffic is generally lower than holiday traffic for audiences. Monday to Thursday traffic is relatively stable, whereas on Friday this begins to show an upward trend due to the evening viewing boom. Holidays, particularly Saturdays, are peak viewing times for audiences. This is mainly related to time constraints of weekdays and the demand for leisure and entertainment on weekends. In 2020, China's market for films surpassed the US, but since 2020, cinema has faced growing competition for short vertical dramas. The traffic of mainstream films has increased significantly, especially during National Day and the founding of the Communist Party in China, so that means more patriotic-themed films perform well. In terms of genres, comedy films are usually popular among all types of audiences because of their relaxed and entertaining nature, and it can usually attract a wide audience base. Romance and drama films attract wide female audiences, especially on special dates such as Valentine's Day. And finally, action and sci-fi films are favoured by young audiences, especially male audiences, due to their high production costs and visual impact. Let's take a look at some cultural differences now. So Western films often emphasise the independence of the characters' personalities, clear ideologies and challenges, whereas in Chinese films it's necessary to emphasise values of a collective spirit and the dominant group. In Chinese film, there is also more of a focus on the emotional relationships between people, such as family and friends, whereas in Western films they pay more attention to shaping these heroic images. Western films also emphasise individual independence and human rights awareness, which helps to develop the individual. Meanwhile, in Chinese films, these usually focus on showing relationships between an individual and a collective, presenting a social atmosphere that values traditional culture and national spirit. Now for some cultural affinity. We're going to take a look at a type of film that would do well. So due to the fact that there is no real motion picture rating system in China, films that are rated 18 plus in the UK don't do well there, as films must be suitable for all ages and remain respectful towards their culture and government. Therefore, British films classified as 15 or below are ideal for exporting. So how well might audiences respond to British content? Well, British content is fairly sought out in China, particularly BBC shows such as Planet Earth, Blue Planet and Sherlock. 2,200 hours of British TV content are exported to China through a signed deal between BBC and Migu Video. This happened in 2018. Due to the popularity of programmes such as Planet Earth and Blue Planet, there could be an argument made that British documentary style of film may perform well in China. This could be due to the global experience of TV documentaries, which was co-produced by Tencent, a Chinese multinational technology conglomerate. Now for some distribution and access. So the quota in China is to make 34 films per year, and out of all these foreign movies, only 34 can be shown under this system. There are special slots taken out for IMAX and 3D films. 14 of those 34 films from the quota must be in IMAX or 3D to qualify. And foreign studios don't typically get all the money. They usually only keep about 25% of ticket sales in China, and the rest goes to the Chinese side. Now for some distribution and access. So all films must go through their own government-approved distributors. Independent or private films can't enter freely, and they have to pass through state-approved companies for permission and screening access. Co-productions get around these rules. If a foreign studio makes a movie with a Chinese company, it can count as a domestic film. This avoids the quota and allows better financial terms. And some foreign films are sometimes even pulled or rescheduled for political or regulatory reasons. The theatrical window is typically shorter in China, meaning the films need to optimize the box office quicker. Strategic release windows around Chinese holidays are heavily contested. These include the Spring Festival and Chinese New Year, as well as Golden Week. Sometimes foreign films are even blocked or delayed from prime slots due to favouring domestic productions. So for some legal, financial and business practices now. So there is some pre-approval editing that takes place. Essentially, some films get edited by Chinese censors. These require cuts or edits to remove objectionable content. It is important to understand the Chinese model emphasizes state control of public opinion and also mandates proactive platform governance. In terms of legal relevance, all online video platforms must pre-screen and self-censor content under the content responsibility rules. Forbidden content includes nudity, extreme violence, supernatural elements, LGBTQ+ themes, political dissent, or religious criticism. So we need to follow content that avoids risky topics and fits within acceptable genres, such as romance, school genres, historical fiction, and so on, and can thrive on platforms like Tencent Video. Even foreign films with minor references to these topics can be banned, delayed, or heavily edited. An example on screen currently is Bohemian Rhapsody due to the LGBTQ content surrounding Freddie Mercury. So in terms of financing, here are some resources that could help with the budget of your film. China Film Group Corporation, the Huaxia Film Distribution, or local cultural bureaus and provincial governments. These are state-owned or government-affiliated film funds, and they often come with consent oversight and co-ownership. Meanwhile, you also have foreign co-production financing via official co-production treaties and partnerships, such as foreign producers can access local funding, distribution, and state support. Co-productions can be treated as local films, and they must use Chinese elements, including cast, crew, location, and themes. Now for some streaming platforms that are popular in China. TV series dominate on platforms like Youku, Tencent Video, and iQIYI. Mango TV and Migu Videos have the highest proportion of variety shows. Bilibili stands out for its focus on movies, unlike other platforms, and short dramas have a small share across all platforms, generally under 4%. In conclusion then, As we mentioned, comedy films are popular among all types of audience groups due to their relaxed and entertaining nature. Documentary style films and content such as Planet Earth and Blue Planet would also perform well due to themes and topics being global experiences rather than exclusively British experiences. A strategic release window would be around Chinese holidays like the several we mentioned. Co-producing with a Chinese studio means you get more profit from ticket sales and a longer window in the cinema for theatrical releases alongside avoiding the quota. And a British film released in China should be in dubbed format. This means it would be widely viewed by Chinese citizens. Keeping the dub in Mandarin would allow a wider audience to view this film. Thank you for listening, and I hope you learnt something.